So when we talk about ethics, often we're talking about bias. And bias can get introduced into AI in at least three ways. One is the data sets. So if there's an AI that does a really good job of recognizing faces of white men, but does a poor job recognizing faces of black women, that's probably AI that was trained on a data set that wasn't representative of the population that it was used on. And I can concretize that a little bit in, we had someone earlier talk about, there was a plant pathologist in here. So
sorry, Chris, just check. I don't know if your mic is on. I can hear you clearly.
Better? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So I can concretize this issue of data sets. There was an article in McKinsey put out a report not too long ago about AI that was used by farmers to diagnose diseases in cows. And that AI was trained on Hereford cows and Angus cows. And it started to be used by Kenyan farmers. And when they showed the AI images of Kenyan cows, the AI misdiagnosed the cows as malnourished. So in the best case scenario, these farmers would simply stop using the AI because they metaphorically realized the AI didn't know what it was talking about. In the worst case scenario, the farmers would actually use the AI and incur unnecessary veterinary costs treating cows that were actually healthy. Compare that to a paper that was just released not too long ago by, I believe they were academics from Nigeria and Namibia, on AI that could diagnose diseases in cassava plants. And this AI was trained on pictures of cassava plants that were taken by farmers in Uganda. And unsurprisingly, that AI did an excellent job of diagnosing disease in cassava plants. So that's one dimension of bias. A second dimension is bias that gets introduced at the reinforcement stage. So if anybody's familiar with the launch of Google's Gemini generative AI product, it was ridiculed, I think rightly so, on social media. If you asked Gemini which did more harm to society, Elon Musk tweeting or Adolf Hitler, Gemini responded, well, it's complicated. You need to take in many factors. So that is a human bias that gets introduced at the training stage. And then the third, which is frankly bias that I'm not aware anybody's talking about. So Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize for their work in understanding human psychology. And we have innate cognitive biases. So for example, if I were to say to you, if you choose option A, there's a 10% chance that I will give you $1. I'm sorry, there's a 10% chance I'll give you $10. Option B, you have $10, there's an 80% chance you'll have to give me that 10. Everybody in this room will say, well, I'll take the chance of getting the 10% chance of getting $10, even though statistically, option B is the better option. How we will ultimately deal with our own human cognitive biases and how those get implemented into AI is a question that unfortunately data scientists are not talking to cognitive psychologists, because if we don't solve that problem, it doesn't matter how good the data sets are, we're still going to end up with bias in our AI. On the skills piece, I would just say that education is a sufficient, is a necessary but not sufficient condition for deploying AI at scale in Africa. We need experience, right? So one of the challenges I faced with the foundation is finding data scientists who have real world experience dealing with practical problems. And I know that there was a participant who asked a question about graduates who were going overseas, and Dr. Fashinda said, well, that's fine, they go overseas and then they get skills and they come back. That is actually, that is one path down which we can go. I think it would be better if we actually had opportunities for those data scientists to actually gain real world experience building AI that can solve problems in Africa, as opposed to having to go to Europe or the States to learn it.